students need to leave at 1 or before the time, so I'd like to at least give Ramesh an opportunity to do the talk before the time, and hopefully have a lot of discussion. So first, my name is Bruno-van. Some of you I haven't met yet, I think. I'm here in the Moyne Institute, the co-director for the Transnational NGO initiative. We work on transnational NGOs and their role in global governance. We do a lot of, besides research and education, also a lot of practitioner engagement work where we work with NGO leaders. And Ramesh Singh, who is here today, our esteemed guest, was actually one of our the first two Moynihan NGO fellows. So once to twice a year we have an NGO leader come to the Moynihan Institute and to the TNGO, Transnational NGO initiative, for 2 weeks to do research with us on an organizational challenge that they really have to grapple with as a leader, but that they don't, in their normal day-to-day job, get the intellectual and mental space to focus on. And so we invite them to come and be with us for 2 weeks. Well, Ramesh was with us in 2007, one of our two first fellows, and he's here with us this week again to work with us in the TNGO initiative on various forms of collaboration. Let me tell you a little bit about his background. Several of you may have known him from before. He is currently a visiting fellow at the Hauser Center on not-for-profits at Harvard University. He's basically taking a sabbatical of about 6 months, right? Much deserved after working for 25 years, almost non-stop without vacation, I believe, or very few, at ActionAid International. Most of you may have heard of ActionAid International. It's a major international development, both humanitarian relief and development NGO. I think that Ramesh will give a few introductory comments about the nature of ActionAid, but in my book, ActionAid has always been very interesting and worthwhile to keep track of and to understand, because they have innovated across a number of issues, including some of the things that we may touch upon today, across the 15 years or so that I've known ActionAid. So, to give you a little bit more about his background and then to the topic of today, he was most recently the chief executive of ActionAid International, but he has worked with them, as I said, for 25 years in various technical, management, and leadership positions. He is from Nepal, but he's lived and worked as well in Gambia, Ethiopia, Vietnam, where he and I collaborated when I was with the World Bank, and Ramesh was the head of ActionAid Vietnam, Thailand, England, and South Africa, where ActionAid has relocated its headquarters in 2004. Right? It's one of the first international Western-founded NGOs to move to location in the Global South. He was trained, very interestingly, as an agronomist and a seed technologist in Nepal as well as the UK. His expertise and research include food and agriculture, international NGO governance, as you can imagine if you're the CEO of ActionAid, strategy and management, and accountability systems. One of the innovations that I mentioned before that I feel typify ActionAid is in the area of accountability and learning. Human rights-based approaches and programming, as well as South-South networking and influencing. He is, in this sabbatical, he basically is using his time to research kind of what are the big trends, trajectories, and futures of transnational NGOs, particularly 67 big ones that he may mention that are part of his sample, if you will, during his sabbatical. And he's going to talk to us about questions and propositions. How has the world, after the recent crises, as in multiple crises, and geopolitical shifts, how has it changed for NGOs? How are they globalizing, merging, expanding, and changing to catch up to those changes and to continue to be relevant? What kind of transnational NGOs will we need in the next 10, 15 years or so of development, and what kind will we actually end up with? That's what you're discussing today, right?
Thank you, yes, thank you. So just to give you a little bit more about ActionAid, just so that you know where I'm coming from. ActionAid is, I would say, medium-sized probably, I don't know where to draw the line, but about $300 million annual expenditure, and working in 50 countries, about 2,700 to 2,800 staff across approximately 38 years old since its establishment. It started in the UK. So that's the kind of organization a lot of my previous work was. But today, actually, I'm not going to speak about ActionAid. As Tosca mentioned, I stepped down from the role of chief executive, and I'm outside ActionAid. And I took this 6 months. I have taken this 6 months off, which only 6 or 7 weeks have gone in trying to understand the whole sector a little bit more, beside ActionAid. So I'm interested more than in ActionAid, and I think I may dip in and out of ActionAid, but it's unlikely that I will talk about only ActionAid. So my range is bigger in here. What I should probably also say is, okay, I am an insider. I'm looking at it as an insider-outsider. So I'm inside international NGO. My life, I breathe international NGO. And I should also say, when I say international, you can consider interchangeably with transnational or global. I do think there is some difference, but for this purpose of our conversation, it's not important to have that distinction. I will be critical, but I'm not about NGO bashing. There is a sort of occupation as well to NGO bashing itself. I'm not. And I think I will start from the premises that the international NGOs within the sort of larger framework of global civil society will be needed, probably more needed, however differently that might be. And what I'm going to say is, only once I've stepped out in the last 6-7 weeks of reading quite voraciously what people have been saying, what academics are writing, and also stepping out, seeing what I see, what I wasn't able to see as much as I was right in the middle of doing. So I think it is therefore only preliminary and earlier. If I was talking about it in February, March, when I'll finish whatever as far as I go, then I probably will say more or differently. So the purpose here is to sound you out, really. And so if you see me confused, that's I'm not acting out. I'm genuinely confused. And I think it is in the conversation with you, your interrogation or challenges, that I will probably will help me read differently or understand better. So I think let's, in that spirit, I hope you will allow me to sort of proceed. What I'd like to do is to quickly give you a, as Tosca said, I'm actually looking at the big international NGOs, and there are, lots of billions there, but just to give you a more colorful picture of the kinds of organizations I'm looking at, and even within that, about 7 of them. All the 7 that I want to sort of look into are there: ActionAid, CARE, Oxfam, World Vision, Transparency. So it's a mix of different sectors from development. I put BRAC there as well, more to sort of give you the future indication of how southern organizations, and I will talk about that later. And BRAC is the only one which was not established or originated from industrialized or high-income countries. So that's sort of a terrain from where I am. And I think I want to situate a little bit. I mean, I think a little bit of statistics about why international NGO is important. Apparently, there are some, and it depends on when you read, 20 to 25,000 international NGOs. And in 2005, apparently, those based in OECD, DAC country, mobilized something like $27 billion. If you look at the trust survey that happens every year, NGO continues to be a lot more trusted, but this is not only international NGO, this is a global survey including national NGOs. And they occupy a lot of public and political space. They don't necessarily vote, but they have a lot more voice. They can make noise, and they are in places where decisions are made inside the rooms, whether it's the climate change conversations or United States